Okay, well, it's been a little while since I've done any Yu-Gi-Oh! Content on the channel, and this is kind of a new series I'm trying out, so before we get into it, just to make sure everybody's on the same page of what this is going to be, let me lay it down for you. Number one, I do play the game as a hobby, but never competitively, and a lot of the new stuff that's coming down the pipeline, like links and even pendulums, I'm really not all that well acquainted with. Yeah, okay, I got this thing the other day in a pack, and everyone says it's a really great card, but it has 0 attack, so if anyone wants it, I'll give it to you. I have no idea why these cards have 2 text boxes and pretty diamonds on them, but it's very confusing. Why are there extra spaces on the board now? Why are these ritual monsters covered in arrows? And how long has Karibo been a Digimon? And a child's wind-up toy. And a Russian nesting doll. And Jesus. Is Karibo Jesus? I mean, I'm fine with that. If we're gonna start a religion revolving around Karibo, I just wish somebody would have sent me a memo about it or something.
La 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 la.
Number 2. As I do not play this game competitively, do not listen to a single thing I'm going to say involving strategy or tips for the actual card game, because it probably will result in you getting killed in your first duel. Okay, guys, I got this hot new tip for you. Okay, you ready for this? This is crazy. Alright, I just checked Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, and the god cards. That's right, the Egyptian god cards are unlimited. All of them. You can have 3 of each in your deck. So what you gotta do is you gotta go out and get 3 Sliffers, 3 Obelisks, 3 Raws, and just throw them all in your deck, because we all know the Egyptian god cards are the absolute strongest, and hey, if you could just have freaking 9 of those in your deck, you'll probably draw them on your first turn, and you will be set, my friend. You will be set. And that brings us to number 3. These videos are meant for entertainment, so as long as I could make you laugh or cringe, whatever comes first, it's kind of my thing, my job has been accomplished. And with that being said, I present to you a show talking about all things related to early Yu-Gi-Oh! See, I don't know a lot about the current state of Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't watch Vrains, or haven't really finished Arc 5, or Zexal, although that might be a blessing in disguise, and like I said, I don't know much about the current card game, so I'm thinking, man, what else is there really for me to talk about, because I'm so out of touch with this franchise. I'm like, okay, we'll just do what every other major franchise does. We'll, base things on nostalgia. We'll go back to the past. We'll talk about early Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the stuff that I was a master of. The early manga, the first few seasons of the anime, or the early card game, which is what we're going to be talking about today. The little weird things that existed way back in the first few packs of Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon days, And with that being said, today's video is going to be about a certain spell card. Actually, no, we're not using that terminology here. They were magic cards. That's what they called them back in the day. That was what was written on the card. I don't care about the lawsuit. I don't care that magic came first. I don't care what Wizards of the Coast say. They're magic cards. And today's video is about a certain magic card. A magic card that would call down divine judgment and make a duelist have their assholes puckered up like sheer diamond. We're talking about Raigeki. Well, anyway, back in the day, there were not very many cards that could stand up to the absolute divine judgment that was Raigeki, okay? Zeus could straight up send this right down onto the field, and you really had no protection against it. You see, Raigeki, when it got taken off the ban list a few years ago, it made perfect sense, because there are just so many cards now, effect monsters, that can just negate the effect of Raigeki, or at least become immune to it. So there's not really that big of a deal anymore, but back in, like, the first booster pack of Yu-Gi-Oh! Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon, there were 5, exactly 5 effect monsters. That was it. That was it. And if you think you're gonna get any luck from, other magic or trap cards, good luck. All you got at that era was like, I don't know, Dispel. Magic Jammer could do it. That was released in Metal Raiders, so yeah. You had a Magic Jammer, you would be a freaking badass, but other than that, you're pretty much screwed. Those 5 effect monsters we had, by the way, let's go down this freaking 5-star all-star lineup and see what we got there. Well, we got Reaper of the Cards for one, a 1300 attack monster that requires a tribute, so... oh look, we have Arm Ninja. Okay, to be fair, Arm Ninja could destroy Raigeki if your opponent was stupid and said it first, but yeah, I guess that's the case. Oh, and we have the classic Screw You pair in Maneater Bug and Hane Hane, so those were fun to use. And oh, finally to round us off, we got Exodia the Forbidden One, whose effect isn't really even that relevant because you don't actually play Exodia, it just triggers as soon as you have it in your hands, so that's all you got, really. So with that being our lineup of effect monsters, this thing might as well be the Divine Hand of God. Now, the neat thing I love about Raigeki, though, is first off, there's the simplicity of it, okay? This was back when Yu-Gi-Oh! Was first starting out, right? So obviously, all of the more, simple card effects are going to be used up first. I can imagine everyone sitting around a table like, all right, well, what kind of cards are we going to have? Well, we have to have a card that destroys all your opponent's cards. Yeah, that would be awesome. Then we should also have a card that destroys all the cards. Yeah, that's cool, right? And so, Raigeki was born. But just the simplicity. Look at it. It's nothing complicated. It's nothing crazy. It's just a lightning bolt. That's all it is. Just a lightning bolt. And even the name, Raigeki. Rai means lightning, and Geki, just strike. Lightning strike. That's it. I mean, just look at this artwork. It's just beautiful in its innocence of a day long past. So yeah, for that reason it was slapped with the forbidden stamp pretty damn quickly and locked in that chest along with your pots of greeds and your harpies feather dusters, and we just thought we were never going to see, Raigeki again. It caused so much trauma to players. In fact, I think still some of them might have some PTSD from it. This was a pretty serious hardcore card back in the day. But then, back in, I think it was 2014, 2015, it got taken off the forbidden list, and I never thought that was going to happen. In fact, you know what's really messed up? I remember where I was at when I found out the news that Raigeki was now legal again. Isn't that crazy? That's something that you would remember, like, where you were at during the moon landing. Or a more modern example, like, where you were at during 9/11. Oh, I remember that day. Oh, yeah, I can remember it like it was yesterday. Yeah, I have that kind of memory for when Raigeki was taken off the freaking forbidden list. I was in a cafe at my college. I was eating lunch with a friend, and she knew nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was, on my laptop talking, eating my food, and just, I saw it. I saw it on Facebook. Somebody posted about it, and I'm like, oh my god, Raigeki got taken off the ban list! And she's just like, what's that? I'm like, it's a card from a children's playing card game that can destroy all the other cards. It's crazy. It's been on the forbidden list for like 10 years. Have you not heard of Raigeki woman? And then she got up and walked away, and I didn't really see much of her after that, but I remember where I was at, okay? Now, the neat thing I love about Raigeki, about any card early on that got forbidden, is these cards are sort of like staples of the game in a sense. For the people that have been growing up with Yu-Gi-Oh! With the anime, although I don't really think this card was really heavily featured in the anime all that much. I think it was used, remember that time Merrick possessed Joey and had him duel Yugi? I think Joey used it in that duel, but we didn't actually get to see it. And I think Joey wasted... Well, I guess Merrick is the one dueling. He was an idiot. Yugi literally summons Gazelle on his first turn. Gazelle, the king of mythical beasts. And Joey's just like, I play Raigeki and destroy it. And I mean, granted, he uses a direct attack afterwards, but... Dude, you used Raigeki to kill a Gazelle. I mean, that just kind of hurts just inherently. But, yeah, it's not really featured in the anime all that much. But it's a card that we all kind of knew growing up, right? So it has a little bit of a following. So even after it was long banned, and no one could use it anymore, we all just kind of had, like, a yearning for Raigeki. Like, we still wanted to see Raigeki in some form. So they brought it back with Lightning Vortex, so this basically just added a few more restrictions to it, like a lot of other cards did. So with Lightning Vortex, in order to activate it, you have to pay a cost of discarding one card, and it can also only destroy the face-up monsters on your opponent's side of the field, whereas opposed to Raigeki, which just straight up destroys everything, and just leaves nothing but ashes behind, okay? And also, this is great. There were, Pot of Greed had this too, and this is one of my favorite little trivia notes of what they did here, okay? So Pot of Greed is banned, and Raigeki's banned. So what they do is they bring them back, except they add counters to them, right? So they bring back Pot of Greed in the form of Shard of Greed, whereas you have to gather up some counters on the card first, then you can activate it, then you can have the same effect as Pot of Greed, which is just, oh crap, I actually forget what Pot of Greed does. I think it has something to do with, drawing, but I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah, you could use that. And then they had another card called Raigeki in a Bottle, obviously a play off Lightning in a Bottle, where it's the same basic effect. You have to play it first, wait for a few turns to gather counters, and then you can release the power of Raigeki in its fullest extent. So they knew that these cards were really well known in the fan base of the game, and they wanted to bring them back in some way, in some form. Now, of course, Raigeki now legal again, so having Raigeki in a bottle is kind of redundant now, but like I said, I'm not a competitive player. Maybe you could have some use for this thing. I don't know. I just found it funny that they brought them back in these kind of ways, you know? But that's not even the most hilarious kind of trivia fact with this card, okay? So, early on, back in Yu-Gi-Oh!, in the card game history, I don't really know what they were thinking. If they were thinking maybe, like, let's not, you know, make it forbidden, or maybe this was before those kind of statuses existed, but for whatever reason, they decided to make specifically catered counter cards for not only Raigeki, but also another card, Dark Hole. And Dark Hole is also a very well-known card in the game. It allows you just to destroy all monsters on the field, friend and foe alike. So there were actually these two trap cards that were created specifically to counter both Dark Hole and Raigeki. And these cards were available, I think, in only like a promo pack. You couldn't actually get them in a booster or a starter deck, so these cards are actually kind of rare, I think. I don't have any copies of them, but one of them is the counter to Dark Hole, which is White Hole. And if you activated this trap card, it can only be activated when your opponent plays Dark Hole, but when it's triggered, it allows your cards to be safe from Dark Hole's effects while your opponents still get destroyed. So that's actually kind of really funny, because you can imagine this giant hole and like, oh, okay, all your cards get sucked into it, but I have this magical white hole protecting me. I'm protected. Aha! And then the counter to Raigeki was simply anti-Raigeki, a trap card that you can activate only when Raigeki is played, mind you, but it works essentially as a lightning rod, and it channels the lightning powers of the gods themselves only to your opponent's side of the field. So, can you imagine that, though? Can you imagine that in a competitive setting? Because hey, I'm just saying, Raigeki is off the ban list, and anti-Raigeki, that shit's unlimited, of course, because what other use does the damn thing have? But can you imagine, you're like at YCS, okay, or you're at Worlds or some shit, and it's the ultimate, it's the final battle, okay? These are the two best, you know, duelists in the entire world, alright? And you put anti-Raigeki in your deck, and no one knows this, you kept that a secret. And then you're up there dueling, it's broadcasted all over the internet, live streaming, everyone's like, I wonder what they're gonna do, I wonder what kind of deck they're gonna use, alright? And they're using either, you know, honestly, probably decks I've never even heard of, because I'm not that, you know, following the game all that much. But, one guy sets anti-Raigeki down, he's waiting for it, and then, against all odds, the moons align perfectly, and right after he sets anti-Raigeki, it doesn't get destroyed by any card effect or anything, it's there, it's waiting, and then the opponent throws out Raigeki. And you don't just, he's expecting, oh, maybe he can counter it with another magic card, or a trap, or a card effect, or whatever. Maybe he has something in his hand that he could just throw out or whatever that can negate it. But oh, no. He can negate it, but not in the way you're figuring. And that's when he pulls out anti-Raigeki and just... I think, like, what would you... No one would know what to do! Everyone would just be like, the announcers would just be like, and he throws out anti-Raigeki! What the fuck? Is that a card? Hold on, let me check. What the... oh yeah, it's, yeah, anti-Raigeki. There you go. All of his opponent's monsters are destroyed. Huh. I think the entire community, they would go crazy. They'd be like, oh my god, I can't believe it. He actually put that in, he remembered. It actually, the prophecy has been fulfilled. That's great. I love that. Anti-Raigeki. I need to get myself a copy of that. It's probably kind of expensive, because I don't really think they made that many of them, but I need to get my hands on anti-Raigeki, because you never know. You never know. Like they're stopping your opponent with just like, an archetype-specific trap card or something. Like, I play 6 Sammys, so, it's like, Raigeki! I'm like, oh, Musakani Magatama! Okay, whatever, that's fine, that's expected, but anti-Raigeki, the card that's literally a dead slot in your entire deck, but just for that occasion, you could truly become, you would feel like the king of games if that actually happened to you. Or the white hole, dark hole gambit. Yeah. Alright, so that's pretty much the video. I just wanted to talk about this, and I had a lot of fun doing it, too. I have a lot of fun just talking about early stuff in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I have some other ideas for this series where it could go from here. I have various episodes of the anime, various arcs. I want to talk about the manga at one point, like the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga, where they're like, you know, that one arc where like Bakura traps them in that Dungeons and Dragons tabletop game. I want to make a video about the Gate Guardian, because the Gate Guardian was always wicked cool back in the day. I mean, he's hard as hell to summon, and he's pretty much useless, but he looks cool, right? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff for this series I have planned. Even this thing. I found this while cleaning under my bed a few weeks ago, and this is an old-school Yu-Gi-Oh! Card catalog. And it has over 750 cards listed. It's significantly more than that. But I had this back when I was like 10, and I just happened to find it. And even this catalog itself is just kind of like an enigma. It's like a weird thing to have because, look at it. You might think it's just a bunch of descriptions of what the cards can do, right? Like, here's Mystical Space Typhoon, and this is obviously the effect of Mystical Space Typhoon. But no, it isn't. Somebody actually was paid to go in and actually, pages are falling apart, and actually write in, like, specific, like, flavor text for each of these cards. It doesn't even actually list their effects. Like, let me read you the flavor text of Mystical Space Typhoon. Unlike Remove Trap, you can now destroy face-down trap cards as well. To counter against Mystical Space Typhoon, your opponent may now have to play less useful spell cards on the field. It's just like just weird things. So let me pull up the entry for Raigeki. The flavor text for Raigeki. Here it is. It's this must-have card destroys all your opponent's monsters. No monster card can withstand its powerful destructive force! Exclamation point. It's just so weird, you know? So I might just make a video on this thing, just reading weird flavor text from this thing. But let me know what you guys thought of this. Let me know what you think I should call it. And if you enjoyed. See you back here next time, guys! Ooh, looks like it's actually... Yeah, it's starting to storm out.